important aspects of growing food is around soil and the quality of soil. It's really important to have soil that is alive and rich with organic matter. Otherwise, your plants won't have anything to draw nutrients from, right? So plants need potassium, they need nitrogen, they need all types of nutrients. And the best way to get those nutrients is from healthy soil.
Okay.
So a practice and more like a concept and acknowledgement of natural agriculture that is also indigenous in terms of African agricultural practices is around honoring the life that is in soil, recognizing the life that is in soil. There are billions of microorganisms and organisms that help to aerate the soil, that carry nutrients throughout the soil.
Mm-hmm.
So one way that we do that is by asking for forgiveness of the land any time that we're doing work that will disturb the soil, right? So this is a garden, but in a farm setting, a lot of times you have a hoe where you have to kind of like, you're hoeing weeds. In the process, you are disrupting and disturbing all of those microorganisms. Exactly.
Right.
You're killing earthworms, which are sacred. So one way to honor the sacredness of the soil and respect the relationships is to start by asking for forgiveness, particularly when you are doing work on the soil.
That's really helpful. I didn't really think about that.
That's beautiful.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, in order to bring life, we're sort of like disrupting and killing things and just trying to be in harmony with it. Right. I think is important. Thank you.
Yeah, and you know, when I do ask for forgiveness, I also try to like express that what the work that I'm doing is ultimately for the benefit of the community, for the benefit of the field, even the plants themselves. So putting it in that context while still recognizing that we are doing some damage that requires forgiveness. So it's really, honestly, the way we think about soil, the way I think about soil is around all of the relationships that are being formed beneath and above the soil. And a lot of times we walk through life and we don't necessarily think about the relationships that happen underneath. But those relationships that happen underneath are actually foundational and fundamental to the plant growing and being healthy and even producing like quality fruit for us.
Wow. It's analogous to how we should live our lives. I'm just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I can understand why like getting connected to the land and really utilizing it as an opportunity for self-healing and understanding how it translates to how we connect with people and how we nourish ourselves. I thank you. That just came alive for me in a whole nother way.
As with the land is with the people. That's what we say at the farm.
Honestly, you know, it needs to be communicated to, you know, with our elders who may have not had an opportunity to, you know, develop that understanding, but then also who might have that understanding, we just haven't even had that conversation with.
Right.
Like I'm thinking about, you know, like my grandparents when they were alive. Like I wish I would have had this understanding now to begin to be able to articulate that and have a conversation with them to understand what their connection with the land was. I wasn't so fortunate. I was fortunate to know them, but I wasn't so fortunate to sort of make the connection in that way. But that's dope. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here thinking.
Yeah,
I'm sitting on that one because
and you know how
just
you're
asking permission, right? You know, that's just the thing we just do not do. You know, you look at dirt or soil, and it's just like it's nothing. You know what I mean? We really don't put that connection that this is like the base of how we eat, and you know,
our lives,
and you know, with materialism and trying to get all the other stuff, like if you ain't eating, you ain't doing none of all the other stuff. So, and if you ain't eating right, you know, it's consequences to everything. So just starting with forgiveness, intention, you know, that spirit, that energy, that's how you can live your life, right? So but it's all connected, and we don't even we don't see the connection points. We don't get it.
And I'm thinking about when I was younger, and you know, there's a lot of spirituality in my family, but sometimes we get caught up, like just learning, like, you know, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, and you'll return to the dust, and just thinking about soil being and dirt being communicated as almost as a bad thing, and that when you return to the earth, it's not, you know, it's not anything that is to be desired. But like if you think about, you know, how it sort of continues to fuel life, and that the people who are responsible for cultivating the dirt to help grow food are praying over it, asking for forgiveness, acknowledging, you know, what's inside of it and how it fuels us. That's a whole different concept. And just imagine if I was given that information as a younger child.
Yeah.
But the beauty of being shared, learning the information now as an adult, you know, have so much opportunities to do more with it for my own self as a human, but then for my child, and for how we connect and how we talk to each other and how we appreciate one another is continuously developing. All around a conversation around dirt.
Yeah, right.
You know, and the joy and the laughter that I feel right now, and I can just sit here and, you know, do this and feel you know, enlightened by it, as opposed to, you know, sadly to say, like at one point in my life I may have felt disgusted.
Yeah,
you know?
And it feels good.
Yeah. And it's cool.
Right? It feels good.
It is cooling and calming.
Yeah.
So.
Well, another thing that folks are doing research on, and then I would like to eventually see if I can enter into this research, is around the microbiota of soil. So, right, the microbiome. We all have microbiomes. And seeing if there are relationships between the microbiome of soil and the microbiome of the people who grow food, whose hands are in the soil. So, and there's been some studies looking at depression and anxiety and wondering if there are actually organisms in the soil that kind of help you just, you know, have lower rates of depression and anxiety, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I think it's the things that I hear from growers and farmers around, like, their health and well-being, mental health, physical health. I'm like, there has to be a connection, right?
Yo, that is so crazy. I don't know, there's this whole documentary about, this is a little bit different than an aside, about mushrooms and the mycelium and mushrooms and how it's sort of like connected and interconnected and everything, and that there's therapies tied to that, but nobody really talked about, but that's the mushroom itself, right? Like the mushrooms themselves, there's thousands of varieties as I understand it, but nobody really, I haven't heard of this notion of like being healed and having a connection to soil and the microbiomes or whatever it is you're talking about. But right now I'm just like, I want to put my whole body in here.
Now,
For real though.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No,
I was going to ask though about the like quality of soil. So you say, you pray over it. Like, how do you get good soil? Like, where do you?
That's a good question.
I ain't trying to,
It's a good question.
You know, but like,
so
or rich soil.
if somebody
like,
wants
right
to do this at home, like, where they get this stuff from? The microbioisms.
So I can tell you this soil, I get, so there's one thing that's interesting is I'm not interested in changing ecosystems to fit my own needs, right? Like, so I'm not going to bring soil in from Maine like some people do, because it's rich with like crab, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But this soil comes from Laurel Valley soils, which intentionally uses or kind of like facilitates and builds Pennsylvania soil. So they build Pennsylvania soil. You'll see that there's this I forget what this stuff called, but your hands are kind of shiny.
Mica.
Yes, kind of like your name.
Yeah. One of the cohorts had said that when the kids came, and it was a lot of shinies in the truck. It was shiny. And what is in there? I can't even think.
So this is unique to Pennsylvania.
They say, that's mica. Because the kids was like, why is shining like that?
Yeah.
And that's mica.
It's unique to Pennsylvania. So this is Pennsylvania soil. And it's mostly
Sorry.
mushroom compost. It's about 70% mushroom compost.
For real?
Yes, and 30% topsoil. So this soil is really good quality soil, but you know, not everybody has the resources to buy soil.
Right.
So there are strategies that you can use to build up your soil. There's different like things that you can like compost your own food, you know, coffee grounds, banana peels. There's so many different things you can use to compost and start to build your soil up that way.
For
So-
people who don't know what a compost is, you want to just say?
Yeah, so compost is when you take, you know, natural foods, eggshells, you know, different things you eat, not meat, not oil, not things like that, but really like things that kind of come from the earth, and you, there's different strategies. You can have a compost pail and like dump it in a larger compost bin. They have also these structures that are about yay high where you add these inputs, you layer it. They usually say brown and green, so you want like leaves and those that kind of natural matter in it too. And you kind of let nature do its thing, and it breaks down and creates soil. You know, we talk about ashes to ashes, dust to dust. All of the earth matter literally just returns to itself and becomes soil. So compost is a way to kind of to facilitate building soil that is rich with organic matter. And organic matter is really important because it has the nutrients that plants need to grow.